Yeah.
Here we go, folks. What's going on? Welcome back to the Fish Life Podcast. We got some old school jams.
That's right. It's Pride Month. You can go your own way, Billy.
It's what now?
It's Pride Month. You can go your own way.
That's a great way to start it off. We'll go ahead and get this thing demonetized in the first 15 seconds. Cheers, y'all. Welcome back to the Fish Life Podcast. Chris, thank you for joining us as always.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you got a redneck science tip. I got a healthy living tip.
Oh, today. I can't wait to hear this. I can't wait to get to that and more. We're going to talk about how a man won $85,000
worth of boat
on one swing of the bat out there on the old pond. Lake Fork Summer Tournament Bass Fishing, Skeeter Tournament. He won $85,000 with one bite, one hook set, one landing job, and one fish weighed in. 85 grand. That's a big deal. We're going to tell you how he did it. Give you all the recap from the Skeeter Tournament. We're also going to talk about Watts Bar tonight. Friend of the channel, Ryan Salzman, has won his first Bass Pro Tour event. We're going to break that down, talk about what happened there. And of course, we've got Redneck Science and apparently life tips. And since it's Pride Month, you can go your own way, folks.
You can go your own way.
Cheers, y'all. It's a Fish Life Podcast.
I love it. We're going to get demonetized immediately.
Demonetization. We should play the, we should redo the lyrics to that Red Hot Chili Pepper song and add in demonetization.
Yeah.
What's that song? I don't know.
Stop.
You know what song I'm
Can't
talking
stop.
about? Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to do that and then throw demonetization in the lyrics somewhere. Yeah. I don't know. Just an idea. Probably not my best one. Definitely, if you've been watching, definitely not my worst one. That's for sure. All right.
I apologize for being so tasteless. It's just jokes.
It's just jokes. If you get your feelings hurt over comedy, then you're probably too sensitive anyway. You're definitely too sensitive to watch this podcast and hang out in this house. Yeah, that's for sure.
No doubt.
We got, Chris, do the stuff, man. Do the thing we're supposed to do.
Oh, you want all the things?
Let's try to be an actual podcast.
All right, so if you're watching, we appreciate you watching, but we need other people to watch us too. So what we need you to do is we need to drop us a comment. We need to know who we're talking to.
Yeah.
We need you to hit that thumbs up. That helps a lot.
Hit the like button, baby. Let's go.
Let's go. And then do us
smash the
favor.
like button.
Just
break it. I want broken like buttons.
Broken like buttons. These iPhone screens are built tough. They're built for tough. Yes.
I got one that says they ain't that tough.
Well, that's also an iPhone too. So also share this. We need you to share it.
Sharing's caring in a modern world. I'm just telling you.
That's right.
Let's say some hellos and how you doing. So the early risers in the chat.
Let's do it.
We got Tyler Strader, James Clifton, Rocky Shoe, Ron Foreman, Melton Horner, Russell Stroman, David Garner, Cheddar. 214. Cheddar. It's better with cheddar, baby.
That's right.
Mavericks in the house. Billy Snow, Kevin Jones, Gary Payne, and so many more coming in as we go. Y'all keep the comments coming.
Where is Dud Lake Fort Guide Cody Mays at?
Probably doing dumb Lake Fort God stuff.
Catching fish.
Is Duh Lake Fort God short for dumb Lake Fort God?
Maybe.
He is friends with us. That is an argument for him being a little.
That should tell you everything you need to know.
What do you want to do first tonight?
Let's talk about some redneck science first.
Redneck science.
Yeah.
It's a good time of year for redneck science.
It's hot.
Folks, it's hot. It is next level hot. I don't know if y'all ever been to the Sahara, but I got a feeling like it's Africa hot at this point.
Dude, we skipped like the 90, 91 degrees and went straight to the 100.
We went pretty much from highs 78 to 80 to 95 to 100.
That's right.
There basically wasn't a whole lot in between.
No.
Not a whole lot in between.
No.
Yeah, no. It is super hot. And with that comes some important things to think about when you're on the water. There's all the nerdy soft stuff. Drink a lot of water. Wear
Cold
sunscreen
towels.
or cover yourself up with thin long sleeve shirts and gloves and masks. There's all that stuff, right?
All that thing.
Just try to stay cool, take breaks.
Yeah.
Make sure you're eating healthy.
Yeah.
I'm not really a fan of any of that.
No.
So here, let me tell you how simple it is to stay cool when you're out on the water. I discovered a new trick today, just today. This is hot off the press, folks. Fresh off the Goat Lake itself today.
Extra. Read all about it.
Discovered a great new trick. Number one, this time of year when you're fishing, it's a lot of offshore structure, especially Lake Fork being low, a lot of offshore structure fishing. You're graphing them up, then you throwing your jig in there and you worm in there. You can crank them or throw a swim bait or a flutter spoon. That sounds like a lot of work. I'd rather just drag old big worm, drag old jig. By the way, those are catching them right now on Lake Fork. There was some guys that I talked to yesterday after their day on the water yesterday that caught fish on those very baits. Carolina rig, big shaggy worm, big jig. That's kind of the best three things to drag around on Lake Fork right now. But when you're doing that, we all stand up and fish hard and all that. But you really don't have to stand up to fish any of those baits. No. Like you can just drag, you can sit down.
Yeah.
So why not pop off the flip-flops, sit on the edge of the boat and let your feet hang in the water?
I mean,
why have we never done this before? Bro, I literally we're sitting out there and I throw a bait out there and then I pop them flip-flops off and I sit on the edge of the gunnel and let them toes and I got water up to about middle of my calves. My feet are dangling in and I'm like, instantly feel better. Instantly feel better. Like, this is the greatest idea I've ever had as a fisherman, is to just sit there with my feet hanging off the edge of the boat.
You know what they say about modern problems? They require modern solutions.
Mike Bray was on the gotcha with me today. He's actually in my house. Mike Bray!
Hello.
Folks, if y'all can hear him in the background over here, how awesome was it sitting on the side of the boat? It took you till the end of the day to do it. How great was the feet in the water deal?
Let me tell you what, it was very refreshing. It was the greatest idea I have ever heard while on the water today, as hot as it was.
Top secret guide stuff right here.
That's it. See there, folks, if you book enough guide trips with me for enough years, we just become buddies, and then you just come to my house and eat dinner after the trip. That's just how it happens. So, it was probably the greatest idea I've ever had for bass fishing. Put your toes in the water. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to take it to another level. If it keeps getting hotter, if it does keep it, I don't know how it's going to get much hotter than it is.
You're just going to start wading out.
If it keeps getting much hotter, I'm taking the shirt off, putting a life jacket on, jumping in, and just dragging it from floating around the boat.
I mean,
I'm just going to drift around the boat and just drag my bait right there.
Look, that's actually not a bad idea because kayak fishing, you're fishing from the same.
It's essentially the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, we can do it. I don't know how much leverage you'll have on a hook set when you're drifting in the water.
It doesn't matter.
We're going to figure it out as we go, though. Stay tuned for more, folks. You had a life tip or something. What'd you say?
Yeah. When you're bathing your dogs, be sure that you properly support your lower back because,
bro,
there's no other way to say this, but I blew my own back out today bathing one of my dogs.
And not picking the dog up.
No. I was literally standing up to get a towel for said dog.
Was a bent over,
just lifted up,
stood up,
yeah.
And you're walking like, how Johnny Knoxville when he dressed up in the old man suit and jacket?
100%.
Like how he walked around when he was in that old man makeup?
Yep.
You're walking identical to Johnny Knoxville's old man character right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
you remember what was his name, that old guy? He had like a character name for him.
He was his grandpa.
No, he had like a name for the guy.
I don't know.
It was greatness. Greatness.
Yeah, it's so be sure to support.
How comfortable is that chair on that back?
It actually feels all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess y'all probably came here to talk about fishing, so I guess we ought to start talking about fishing.
Reel it back in,
at some point. Off the rails early is our signature, by the way. That's our
100%.
Nobody else better not copy our off the rails in the first 5 minutes deal. That's our thing. That's what we do.
Your hat just got called impervious.
I know you're not dogging this hat. Did you see that right there?
Somebody just said your hat looks impervious.
My hat looks impervious?
That's what it.
Bro, I can't spell that or define that.
That's how it's spelled.
Princess Lady, do you know what impervious means? Nobody in this house knows what impervious means.
It looks like it's been impervious to heat. It's been there and done it.
Oh, hey, here's the bad part. Let me show y'all something.
Yeah.
This hat
used to be that color.
Now it's that color. It's almost gone from maroon to burnt orange.
I don't know what I'm more impressed about, the color of the hat or how big your head is. Do you see how little you pulled out there? You had like that much to go on that hat.
I feel so attacked right now. I feel so attacked right now.
You got me alone. My man.
Listen, everything about me is big, dude. You know, I'm big, broad, round. I'm broad both ways. I'm broad side to side and broad front to back. You know what I mean?
That hat is holding a lot of
I believe one of my instructors at basic combat training in the Marine Corps told me that I was barrel chested. Is politically correct way to put it. So it's only appropriate to have a big head to fit the rest of this big old fat body.
Yeah, I mean, you are definitely
stretching the limits,
as they say.
Thanks for
you're welcome.
Making me question my whole being.
Hey, man, ratios are a thing. You're good.
Old melon head, I guess.
You're proportionate.
You start calling me old melon head from now
You're
on.
proportionate. It's all good.
Yeah. It looks good on you, though. It looks good on you. You wear it well. You wear it well.
With all due respect, you look great. So let's recap once more before we get.
Are we doing owner's tournament first?
Okay,
Because
let's
my
do
man
owner's
did
tournament
win $85,000 on a single fish,
Yeah.
right? Like a single fish. Before we get into him, I do want to tell you we had some good on the water reporting from our boys.
Yeah.
Zach Watts and Cody Bernay fished it together out of Zach's Skeeter. Zach is a Skeeter owner, is a Skeeter owner. And he fished the Skeeter Owners Tournament Lake Fork, which, if you guys are listening out there and don't know, Skeeter Owners Tournament, the hands down best owners tournament in the business.
Dude, it's
anywhere.
awesome. It's awesome.
Skeeters are made right here in East Texas in Kilgore. Bass Champs is a North Texas company based out of DFW, and they're one of, if not the very best team trail organization that exists. All that partners together and they bring it to the Goat Lake Fork, and have an hourly big bass tournament where you can swing for the fences over the slot. Don't have to worry about stringers and all that.
Yep.
And it's unbelievable. I mean, Bass Champs has done such a great job with Skeeter of gathering sponsors and donations for this tournament. You sign up for this tournament, you pay like $120 or $150 or whatever it is you pay.
Yeah,
They hand you a brand new TFO rod.
It ends up being $240 if you get the extra stuff.
Okay, so $240. They hand you a brand new TFO rod, brand new pair of Costa sunglasses, and a weigh-in bag full
Goodies.
of swag.
Yeah, it's like
You double your money as soon as you pay your entry fee.
it's legitimately Halloween trick or treating for grown-ups.
Yeah,
Like, for
I mean,
fishermen.
the value of it, you literally double your money when you sign up. So nobody loses at this event. They do a great job of taking care of the owners that come participate and their friends, as far as service trailers, accommodations, food. It's an unbelievable event.
A lot of fun.
But there was, a lot of good fish caught in this event. I didn't check the over count today. Yesterday, I think there was 6 or 7 overs caught if you count the junior angler that caught an over. He wasn't entered in the regular tournament. He was entered in the junior division, but he caught an over, a 9-something. But a dadgum 11-pounder.
Post-spawn 11-pounder.
Folks, fish don't weigh a lot this time of year. Let's just talk about that for a second, because bass don't typically weigh very heavy. Even if they're filled out and have a belly, they just don't weigh as much this time of year as they do in the colder months.
A 9-pounder is a giant.
Right
Yes,
now.
100%.
So to have an 11-pounder show up, I mean, you got to think in
That's a share locker.
January, February timeframe, I would say it was like 11.00. So it was maybe 12 and a half, but yeah, maybe 13. I mean, that's a giant bass, irregardless of what it weighed. In 11-pounders giant, no matter when or where or how, right? 11's always special, but
I'll never catch one.
man,
so,
great
yeah.
job to the gentleman that caught that fish. But yeah, that's what's really cool about Lake Fork and this owners tournament is you come here and this guy takes one bite. He wins $85,000.
There was 11 overs, by the way.
11 overs in total, not bad.
No.
Folks, a fish over 24 inches, if it's filled out in fat, that's a 10-pounder. Because I've caught 10-pounders that were not 24 inches on Lake Fork in the right time of year. Several of them, in fact. So, now, not all overs are 10-pounders. There's 24-inch fish that are 8-pounders. Now, I think there was a 6-pounder weighed in this week that was an over.
There was a
Obviously,
$5.99.
That's what I'm talking about, the 6-pounder. Obviously, that fish is thinned out,
That
post
fish looks like me.
A lot more like you than he does on Melon Head, that's for sure.
Yeah, you were the 11-pounder.
That's why I catch bigger fish than him. Don't get it
Heard
twisted.
that, heard
Hey,
that.
birds of a feather
They-
be flocking together.
Yeah.
Them fat fish like to come see the fat boys.
There
I'm
was
just
a
saying.
297 under caught.
That's a big fat under.
That's a big one.
Big fat under.
Yeah, that's an NCAA football.
Especially this time of year, no doubt.
Yeah.
But no, Zach and Cody were out there, man. And everything that we've been talking about, Zach actually had a really good fish. He caught one that was 23 inches and change. And you got to be over 24 inches to be over the slot on Lake Fork. All you locals know that. If you're not local on Lake Fork, we have a 16-inch to 24-inch slot. What that means is you can keep fish under 16 inches or over 24 inches. You cannot keep anything between 16 and 24 inches. So unfortunately for Zach, he caught one that's 23 and change on inches, and it weighed 8 pounds, which would have probably won him an hour.
100%.
There was a lot of hours that were won with less than 8 pounds, or at least a few hours were won with less than 8 pounds. But everything that we talked about leading up to the tournament held true for Cody and Zach. I mean, they were throwing the big shaky head worm. They were throwing the big jig, and they caught a lot of fish and a lot of big slot fish yesterday. Caught some unders. They just weren't the right unders. They were 1.5, 1.7, 1.8. They just weren't the 2.2 to 2.5, 2.6 that you need to really have a good chance to get a check. So they didn't bother weighing them in. I think they weighed in one the last hour, but it wasn't. It was like a 1.8 or something. It wasn't good enough.
Right.
But caught a lot of big slot fish. Had a great time. Caught, had a good fishing day. That on most lakes without a slot limit would have paid them very well.
Right.
But that's the slot limit on Lake Fork. But they caught them using the big shaggy head worm, the big jig, Carolina rig, doing everything. We were just dragging those baits, and that's how they caught all their fish. The other thing is they're utilizing that Fish Life app that we got, guys. I know we talk about it a lot on here, and I don't mean to just push product down your throat that way, but I cannot express to you guys how big of a benefit it is for you guys that come to Lake Fork. If you don't know the lake and you're not here all the time, you're not a local, it's a once in a while trip, or maybe once in a year or once in a lifetime trip for some of you that come to Lake Fork. You get this Fish Life app and you subscribe to the Lake Fork Premium package, and you know exactly where myself, who guides on the lake full time, you know exactly where I've been fishing. I mostly fish spots that are on the app. Every once in a while I'll go outside the box and fish something different on a day-to-day basis, but most of my time is spent on these spots that are featured on the Fish Life app. And it tells you what that area is, what type of structure is there, what type of cover is there. It tells you what baits they've been biting best for me there. I mean, it gives you everything, and the information is always updated and always changing at the first of every month. There is nothing even close to the current level of information, the accuracy of the information anywhere else in the world of bass fishing. There's nothing even close to it. And it's not just Lake Fork. We have guys that we partner with on other lakes. We have Lake O.H. Ivy, the hottest lake in the country over the last few years for big fish. We've got a Fish Life app package there from a guy that used to fish on the FLW tour, still guides there today. Mr. Chase Brooks does that one. We've got app packages on all of our DFW lakes for the most part. Texoma, Ray Hubbard, Lavon, Grapevine, Louisville. I mean, I think I'm probably missing some of the DFW lakes. Ray Roberts.
Yep.
A lot of the DFW lakes are on there. Of course, Sam Rayburn, Toledo Bend. The power plant lakes out in East Texas, we've got all those.
Lake Palestine.
Lake Palestine's on there. Even a couple little lakes like Athens and Hallbrook, they're just little gems that a lot of people like to fish. We've got, so any of these lakes you go to, you can go subscribe to these packages and get that kind of information where Zach doesn't hardly ever fish Lake Fork anymore.
Right.
He's busy with life and kids, and he fishes Athens a lot. He likes Athens, but he doesn't just go out and fish Lake Fork, because Lake Fork's a hard lake to fish, hard lake to pattern, hard lake to find fish on. And he rolls up there this weekend, hadn't even been on the water on Fork hardly at all this year. Rolls up there and goes out and catches a mess of fish, a bunch of big slot fishes, and came, within a half an inch of winning an hour at the Skeeter Owners Tournament, which is amazing. So it's really that simple and really that effective. So check out the Fish Life app, that's for sure.
And there's really no telling how many checks were cashed off of the Fish Life spots.
There every year. Every time there's a tournament there. And users, guys that subscribe to it, make money. I hear from them every year. We've had people win hours. We've had people cash multiple checks. I mean, every big bass tournament that comes through here, people use the Fish Life app and make money off of it. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And what's really cool is every time there's an Elite Series or a Bass Pro Tour tournament here, it gets won on spots that are featured on the Fish Life app. I'm not saying those guys are using it to find those spots. What I'm telling you is the guy who wins, who catches them the best out of the best in the world, is fishing on the same areas that we have featured on that app that you guys can go fish for yourself.
That's right.
Make sure you know that the Life is spelled with a Y, L-Y-F-E.
Why is that?
Because it's the best damn fishing app ever. That's why. That's why. Yeah,
That's
that's
why.
it. Old Melonhead.
I'm getting a glare from Lanny. She's
cannot-
like, I see you.
I cannot get over that my new nickname is now Melonhead. I'm gonna, you know how many people are gonna call me Melonhead around the lake?
Yeah, she's sitting right over there. That's gonna be your number one.
She's already my number one fan. She might as
Yeah.
well be my number one hater too.
Yeah.
I hope y'all can hear the look that she's giving us, if you know what I mean.
I can taste it.
Yeah, it's in the air. Yeah, we can feel it coming in the air.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
So a thing happened at Watts Bar.
A thing did happen.
Apparently, here's the deal. If you want to win a professional level tournament on Watts Bar, you better be nice to the Your Lake Fork Guide channel. You better be buddies with us. Because we just had an MPFL event there week before last. And P-Dub,
Yep.
Patrick Walters, won the NPFL event there. Well, we know, you guys know, he's been a good friend to us over the years here, and done phone calls with us and interviews with us, and just been a good, friendly guy to me, and been very open and nice and generous with me. Didn't meet this guy till he was here this year. Didn't meet him face to face, but didn't talk to this guy till he was here this year with the Bass Pro Tour. But Ryan Salzman, when he was here at Lake Fork, super cool guy, man. Super cool guy. Was very generous and very nice to us, and very complimentary of the content that we put out, talking about how it helped him prepare for the tournament. And that was certainly awesome to hear, and very, very, very appreciated. But fast forward a week later, this week, Bass Pro Tour is on Watts Bar, and Ryan Salzman, rookie on the Bass Pro Tour, first year fishing at the top level on either side, and he's got a W as a rookie, dude.
Pretty strong.
Now, we talk about how hard that is to win as a rookie, right? But we've had a few rookies win on the Bassmaster Elite Series over the last few years, win a tournament. But we all know what happened. There's been an overabundance of new guys coming into the Elite Series over the last few years with everything that's gone on. So there's a bunch of dudes young in their career getting W's on the Elite Series right now. This group that Ryan Salzman just fished against ain't rookies. Like, there's only
4 or 5 tops.
3 to 5 maybe? I think it's 5
tops.
Maybe 5 rookies in this, and this is the first year there's been any rookies in it. Everybody over there is seasoned pros, the biggest names in the sport.
The list of credentials on this roster, unmatched.
Do I think that this roster has better fishermen today than Bassmaster Elite Series? I don't know. I think it's a toss-up at this point.
I agree, but as far as skins on the wall.
But when you're talking about the resumes.
Yes, 100%.
They ain't never been a tour that has the resume that the guys on the Bass Pro Tour have. That's for sure. Yep. I mean, KVD, Jacob Wheeler, Jordan Lee. I mean, those 3 guys alone have how many championships and tour wins and anglers of the year? I mean, Odd Defoe.
The list goes on. The Brent Ehlers.
The Lane brothers.
NDJ. I mean, I could go on.
It is crazy.
Andy Morgan.
Brian Thrift. I mean, he just beat all of these guys. And to be honest, on a lake that we know about, but we don't see a lot of like professional tournaments there. Not over the last 10 or 15 years we don't. I don't think we've seen any over the last 10 years at all. So this was, to me, a very even playing field. There was no advantage to anybody because these guys all showed up to a lake that none of them have really fished competitively on in a lot of years, if ever.
Right.
And on an even playing field with the best resumes that have ever been assembled in the history of this sport, Ryan Salzman, as a rookie, a true rookie, goes out and wins this daggum thing. And here he is, a daggum fishing guide from Gunnersville and, all those lakes on the Tennessee River there he guides on.
Like we talked about with Greg DePalma last week, though, there's something to that deal. The fishing guide thing.
The guiding, yeah.
There's something to that deal.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, it seems to be a notch in everybody's belt that is successful at this level.
Most of them. I think one of
the,
but then you take like the greats. Like, let's have this discussion, right? So, Jacob Wheeler,
right?
He ain't no guide. Never been a guide.
No.
Kevin Van Dam,
right? There's obviously.
Did he ever guide?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay,
I mean, maybe.
Right.
Who knows?
Jordan Lee.
There's obviously exceptions to the rule.
What I'm saying is the guys that and these 3 guys are the 3 guys. Kevin Van Dam was the greatest.
Yeah.
He was the best in the world for a long stretch of time. Now we've got, Jordan Lee for a little while was in that conversation of the best in the world. Jacob Wheeler is now considered, I think, by most people the best in the world.
Odd Defoe.
So those guys didn't guide. But a ton of the guys that kind of don't just have the instant breakout success and instant climb to the top,
right,
do guide. Correct. And some of them guide for a very long time and then come into these top level tournaments. Right. But it does seem like there's a bunch of guys that make it into the top level of tournament fishing not right away. Right. Not like Jacob Wheeler did and Jordan Lee did. They don't just, it works out their first pass through. Like, there's a lot of guys that doesn't happen for.
I just saw a comment, and you're going to want to read that because there may be something to this.
Well, my point is, of those guys, which is the majority of the guys that break out on the top level, aren't their first pass through.
Right.
Of those guys, the guys that have guiding backgrounds stay around a lot.
Correct.
Stay around a lot.
Correct. I just saw somebody comment about maybe making enough money in the initial jump to where maybe they can put all their eggs in a different basket.
No doubt, that's what I'm saying. Those
Yeah.
guys where it works out on the first pass through,
Right.
then they just all in on tournament deal, right?
Right.
Sponsored, because when you start winning your first time through, sponsor dollars come in.
That's right.
You know, you get
That's
that
right.
money.
You
going.
get sustainable money instead
Yes.
of looking for your next meal type money.
But these other guys where it takes them years to break. Lee
Brandon Powell.
Livesey guided, you know, for a long time on Lake Fork, and was trying to get through the opens and never could get through. And that's the most ironic thing about Lee being as good as he is on the Elite Series and having 3 wins already on the Elite Series in 4 years, which is freaking
Unheard of.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Freaking phenomenal. I mean, that's, you know, it's not like Wheeler and KVD, but it's like right there below it, like just a notch is what Lee's doing. Dude, he never even qualified.
Yeah.
He just got invited in the expansion year when Bass Pro Tour stole the whole roster, and they couldn't just let 10 or 13 guys come in from the opens because they needed 60 or 80 dudes or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So they started going. I think what they did, it seems like what they did for the most part was they went down their opens point standings and were like, well, you were 4th, you weren't qualified. You want to come fish the Elite Series? You were 5th, you were 6th, 7th, 8th. And Lee was in that upper echelon of his opens division, and they invited him in.
Yep.
Now, we all talk about this. I think there's guys every year. I think there's guys this year that are fishing the opens that are not going to qualify, that are better than some of the guys that will qualify.
100%.
There are dudes fishing the opens that will not qualify this year that are better than a big chunk of the Elite Series is right now.
Correct.
The opens is almost impossible to get through.
It's called Opens Purgatory for a
Yes,
reason.
you've got to be one of the best and one of the greatest, but you also have to be extremely lucky. I don't care how good you are at fishing. In each division of the opens, you have to have 3 3-day tournaments on 3 different bodies of water. You have to have 9 days.
Flawless.
9 days on 3 different lakes and not have a bad day.
And
you
get
can't have
lucky.
one,
And get lucky.
you can't have one bad day.
And you got to get lucky too. I mean,
Well, if you do have 9 good days in a row, I don't think you call it luck anymore. No, I hear you. I hear you.
yeah,
I do.
that's wild. I don't know. It baffles me, honestly.
But I do think that you learn so much from guiding.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only do you have to have the pressure of finding the fish and catching the fish day in, day out, no matter what the conditions present, not only do you have to be able to find fish and catch fish, you've got to be able to find fish that other people can fish and you don't even know who or what they are as a fisherman until they get in your boat. For the most part. Like you might have a general idea, but you don't really know their ability, their preferred techniques, their skills. You don't know any of that until they get in your boat.
You're basically saying you're constantly trying to find new ways to catch fish.
So no practice for that.
Right.
They show up that day, and dude, if you're catching them on a spook and they can't walk a spook, you got to figure something out to help them catch a fish.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and when you do that on a lake that's highly pressured, like a Gunnersville, like a Fork, you know this as well as I do on Fork. If they're biting a spook, and you throw a popper, or a whopper plupper, or a buzzbait, there are plenty of days on Lake Fork when they're biting a spook, they will not bite anything else.
That's right.
Like you have to do it on these pressure lakes. You have to get everything precisely right to get bites at times on these pressured lakes.
Mm-hmm.
So you take a guy like Lee, he's been doing that for years, and he's been, no matter who gets in his boat, if they can't walk a spook, he's got to figure out how to catch them some other way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like if they can't handle throwing a big crankbait and cranking it, he's got to have them catch them on a hair jig. You know, they just can't throw that big crankbait. They can't wind it. They're just not physically strong. I had a situation this year where a guy wasn't physically strong enough. He was an older gentleman, you know, had some health issues. He wasn't physically strong enough to throw the bait far enough to catch them offshore.
Yeah.
Like with these big heavy baits that I want to throw, he couldn't throw a 3/4 ounce jig. He couldn't throw a 3/4 ounce shaky head Carolina rig. He could not get the bait out far enough. You have to be able to adjust to those things and still get those people on fish, and it just adds so much knowledge. And I think let's talk about this. I think this may be the biggest thing to help you learn as a guide and make you a better all-around angler. When we're guiding, if you've got the bite dialed in, that's great. But most days, most of us don't have the bite just exactly dialed in every day.
Right.
So you may throw this bait, like I'll throw one, but like you, Mr. Customer, are going to throw a Carolina rig, and the other customer, he's going to throw a jig, and I'll throw a deep diving crankbait.
And we'll just see what they're.
We get to throw 3 different baits,
Yeah.
and see the difference between those 3 baits and how well they'll bite all 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you get to dial the bite in and really experiment with different baits a lot, and get to see how fish react differently to different baits from the same boat. I think that knowledge that you gain also opens your mind in certain situations. Well, I know I found these fish, but I've only caught 1 on this jig. But I know sometimes when you can catch 1 or 2 on a jig, you can catch 10 or 15 on a crankbait.
Right.
Or what, that type of situation, whatever it is, it just opens your mind to so much more knowledge.
Yep.
So much more knowledge.
I agree. Well, and I think also too that I got to catch fish right now. That mentality. Every day.
Just like you do in tournament
right
fishing.
now. Yeah.
Just like you do in tournament fishing.
It's the
And
same
in guiding, not only do you
process.
got to catch them that day, you got to catch them, like you said, right now
And tomorrow.
and throughout the day.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you a little story about shad spawn on guide trips.
Woo.
Shad spawn, as easy as it is to guide during the shad spawn, it may be the worst time of year to guide. It may be the toughest time of year to guide too, because here's what happens sometimes on shad spawn. I've got the shad spawn dialed in. I know right where the shad are going to spawn this morning, Chris. We finna roll up there and stroke them, bud. Like, we're going to catch them every cast when we pull up. We're going to catch them every cast for 30 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on how long the shad spawn.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to catch anywhere from 20 to 40 bass in that first half hour to hour and a half, right? That's awesome. That's unbelievable. That's things most people never do, to be honest with you. Most people in the general public don't ever experience that on a big public lake. They don't ever see that.
Then when that shad spawn goes away.
First hour is great.
Yeah.
We're slapping hands, we're giggling. Hell, you know what I mean?
And then it's casting
It's
practice
phenomenal.
for the next 5.5 hours.
That shuts down. There's only a few spawners left, and it's Lake Fork, and they're pressured and picked over. Bluegill spawn ain't really started yet, maybe.
What are we gonna do?
We finna go grind for about 3 bites the rest of the day, dude.
Yeah.
8 hours later, you go to the boat ramp, they're like, whoo, it was tough.
Yeah.
You're like, y'all forgot that we caught 40 this morning? Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
They literally forget because they go for 7 hours after that and grind for a couple, 3 full bites.
Mm-hmm.
And they forget all about the fact that you caught 35 in an hour that morning.
Yeah,
You know?
no doubt.
So yes, guiding does teach you a lot of different things. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. But Ryan Salzman, to get back on topic here, that tournament was really cool. I don't know if you saw much of the action. Did you see him pushing the debris off the dam with his boat?
No.
So he was fishing up by the dam, like the tail races and stuff. You know, Tennessee River dams,
Yeah.
current generating and all that.
Uh-huh.
So he would take, they would have just floating debris, limbs and leaves and just junk, trash, muck.
Mm-hmm.
And he was wanting to fish up there where, anywhere it creates that eddy, well, that's where all that stuff gathers on the surface. He would take his boat and idle into it and push it and then back up and then push it and back up. He was literally pushing debris off the surface where he wanted to fish, and then he would set up and fish it. Oh, that was really cool.
I mean,
It was funny. It was just the drone shots of him just driving into trash piles. and pull it out. It was pretty hilarious. But no, he was up there and they were focused on little bait. He was throwing little bitty. I think he said he even threw a 2.8 inch swim bait and a 3 something inch swim bait, Kitex, and some. He's got a true bass swim bait. I think he's sponsored by. He was throwing in a Kitech. But he was throwing those swim baits a lot. And then when they were generating current, he was catching them on those swim baits, feeding in those eddies and tail races and all that. And then when the current would shut down, he would, go to live scoping and drop shotting and whatever he was doing with his live scope and pick up a bonus bite here or there pretty much. But was really kind of dependent on that current being generated and catching them on that swim bait when they would fire in the current or in the eddies. But just executed perfectly. I wish we could have talked tonight. He was tied up tonight. I would love to ask him, how does it feel? First year on the tour, had a little bit of success at Lake Fork, had a couple decent tournaments here and there, but by far this is your best tournament. This is the biggest tournament of your life. And you were being chased down in second place by a little bit of a scary guy to fish against. A guy named Jacob Wheeler in second place, right behind him. Right behind him.
I'm trying to see where he was in his qualifying group.
That's interesting. I didn't think to look at that.
16th.
16th. So just steady Eddie solid, and then won it on the last day.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a different thing, and I think I forget to think about that sometimes with those
Look at his
formats.
knockout round too.
What is What is
Oh,
there?
he struck him pretty good in knockout round.
Where was he?
Third,
right above Jacob Wheeler, who finished second. What is our Angler of the Year standings? Let me pull that up because I want to look at that here in a minute. But just, man, congratulations to Ryan Salzman. A great victory. Maybe the best and most legit rookie victory we've seen in quite some time, because we've had an overabundance of rookies and second and third year guys on Bassmaster. No offense to any of them, but that's the reality. They've been rookies to third year guys that have been competing against each other and winning. The vast majority of them have. Granted, they are beating some hammers. They are beating Chris Zaldane. They are beating, this year, Brandon Polnick and Gerald Swindle last couple of years. I mean, they're beating some big names, but it's just not the entire field of big names like Bass Pro Tour is. So when you factor that in, and then the factor that Bass Pro Tour hasn't had rookies until this year, this to me is the most legit rookie win we've seen on the professional level in
quite some time.
Several years. So
Jacob Wheeler is running away with points.
Ryan Salzman is here to stay, I would say.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Here to stay. He figured about fork in the cold. He figured out Watts bar in the hot. It don't matter, man. This guy catches them in two completely different fisheries. A whole lot of current and never any current.
Yeah.
Cold, hot, it doesn't matter. Ryan Salzman's a daggum hand, dude, and he's going to be here for a while. Y'all need to remember his name.
Jacob Wheeler's kind of running away with points.
Yeah, a little bit. He's not too far. Look who's back.
I know, the one who's nipping at his heels. Yeah.
Joe Lee's back a little bit. He's still in the fight. He's 38 points behind. Yeah, that's a lot. But that's not unbreakable. But here's the deal. I don't think Joe Lee is as accomplished of a smallmouth angler.
He's gotten a lot better.
As Wheeler is, but he doesn't have this. I mean, like, if we're going to smallmouth tournament and I tell you pick Jacob Wheeler or Jordan Lee, who you pick?
Oh, yeah, I'm picking Wheeler.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So I would give, that's the problem is when we get to this time of year, we start shifting north. And there's some of those guys that just aren't as good up there. I'm not saying Jordan Lee isn't good up there, but Jacob Wheeler, I would say, has the odds-on favorite. But it's not.
He's a different kind of good.
Out of the question. The problem is Jacob Wheeler just don't ever finish 38th. No. Like, when does he ever miss the halfway cut? Like in his group stage. When does he miss that cut?
I couldn't tell you. I'm not saying it hadn't happened.
I don't think he's missed any this year.
I don't think he has.
Like, he just doesn't ever finish below 40th.
That dude's...
And Joe Lee's got to make up 38 points in a few events.
That dude's got gills, man.
That's going to be a tough road to hoe. For the rest of these guys, sorry for your bad luck. This deal's done. I mean, Andy Morgan's at 315. That is 64 points behind.
I mean, Kevin Van Dam, he could make up some ground up north a little bit, but I don't think he's got enough.
77 points?
No, I don't think he's got enough room to run.
Oh, washed up KVD is in fourth place today. Everybody's talking about KVD's washed up, right?
Yeah.
He's washed up.
Yeah, he's not.
Guys, he's fourth in Angler of the Year.
Yeah.
He's really good still. Maybe he's not the overwhelming best in the world like he used to be, but just in case you forgot, KVD is still pretty good.
Yeah.
He's still pretty good.
He's all right.
He's all right. These names always just blow me away. Dude, and hey, guy from Rayburn, let's give him a little love. Dakota Ebert, another legit rookie here from Sam Rayburn. He's in 11th in Angler of the Year as a rookie. He's leading the Angler of the Year, or Rookie of the Year deal for them. And this guy's second, Jeremy Lawyer. Looks like he's second. I may be missing one here as I scan through these names. Salzman's 38th. So right now we've got 3 rookies qualified for Redcrest. That's pretty good. When there's only 5 of them out there, 3 of them qualified for Redcrest. It's pretty stout, dude. Pretty stout.
I believe that's 60% of the rookies.
I'm no math major. Even though I'm a melon head, I ain't no math major.
There's a lot of knowledge under that cap.
9 times
total out of the top 10.
Jacob Wheeler's finished 9 times out of the top 10, like ever, on the Bass Pro Tour. Is that what you're saying? I think that's what Gary Payne's saying.
I mean...
And that doesn't surprise me. He's unbelievable.
Yeah, not at all.
We got somebody from Georgia. Said, what's up coming from Georgia? Melvin Perkins in the house. Getting lots of comments. We appreciate that. I'm trying to. If you guys have any questions or anything you guys want us to go over and address, let us know.
Hey, let's open up a new segment. Ask me anything.
It's like an old news segment. New old segment or
old segment.
New old segment. We used to do that.
A little bit. Ask me anything. Any question you want answered within reason.
Otherwise, it's fixing to get real boring.
It's going to get rowdy. Ask me anything you want to ask me. I will answer it. Ask Billy anything you want to ask me.
Why don't you ask me something?
You want me to ask you something?
Go ahead. Come up with something to ask me. I'm sure you can come up with something. Oh,
the last 11.
9 out of the 11 tournaments, he's been in the top 10. 9 out of the last 11 tournaments, he's been in the top 10.
That's kind of good, I guess.
In the top 10, folks.
He's all right.
Not in the top. We made a cut and got a check in the top. In the top 10.
He's all right.
That's insane, bro.
He's all right.
He's the best in the world. And it's really not close at this point. Roller over or roller under?
I'm not quite sure I'm too inclined to answer that one.
I'm not exactly sure what he's asking.
I know.
I'm not exactly sure what he's asking, but I'm pretty sure we can't answer.
Yeah, that's
the answer to that one right there. That's the answer to that.
So when I said that, there was an asterisk next to anything.
Yeah, anything that we can answer on YouTube.
Yeah.
Without getting murdered by our significant others.
What do you rely on mostly to find bass? That's a good question.
What do you rely on mostly to find bass? I think, like most questions, here's the thing. We get a lot of questions on the different live streams we do. We get a lot more questions on like Tackle Talk Tuesdays on Facebook. And by the way, we go live on Facebook on Tackle Talk Tuesday, and we go live on YouTube on Thursday for top baits every week. We get a lot more of these type of questions there.
Right.
But we get... We're going to come back to that, Rocky Shoe. That's greatness. Sorry, got distracted by the comments.
Over.
Like there is with a lot of bass fishing questions, there's no one answer. There's no, like, you say, what do you rely on most? What do you say, what do you rely on most to find bass?
To find bass.
To find bass. Man, there's not one answer to that. Almost everything in bass fishing, and I think if you're doing it right, depends on situation, lake conditions, weather conditions,
seasonal pattern, all that stuff.
Like, what do you rely on most? Right now, what do I rely on most? My electronics.
Down and side scan.
My electronics find bass more than anything else right now on Lake Fork, being low and being hot this time of year. The fish are offshore mostly. That's how I want to fish right now, so I'm relying on my electronics to find them most. A lot of times, it's grass. You find healthy vegetation and more of it, you'll find bass. Then you just got to find the finite points within that. In the fall, it's bait fish. You just literally go around looking for giant wads of bait fish is how you find bass a lot of times for the shallow water fall bite. So what do I rely on most to find bass is honestly the answer to that is conditions and instincts is what I rely on most to find bass.
My answer is ethanol-free gasoline because this time of year, I'm going to burn an entire tank running around to use my electronics.
There you go.
So,
can you still buy Impact Shads? And it's actually spelled M-PACK for Mark Pack, who invented the Impact Shad. Yeah, you can absolutely buy them. A buddy of mine actually was his business, a really good friend of mine was his business partner and still runs the company. Impact Shads are still for sale at the stores around the lake, still available at impact.com. I think they're on Tackle Warehouse maybe.
Yeah,
the M-PACK, Impact Shad, is a very good jointed fluke style bait, very good Carolina rig bait, good chatterbait trailer, good weightless plastic bait, especially those fish start suspending here in a little bit in July. Those fish will start suspending in the summer, and you get that big Impact Shad, that 7-incher, and float that down around them suspended schools offshore. Hey, that thing's the deal now.
Dude, Pack was a magician with that little
pattern. That was his deal. He made a pattern up that didn't exist.
Yeah.
He created that pattern.
Yeah.
So when he said flipper over, flipper under, he was referring to the toilet paper.
It's over, unless you're a serial killer.
We went a whole different direction with that.
Yeah, unless you're a serial killer.
Here's what's messed up, though.
It's over.
We both went the exact same messed up direction.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
100,000%.
What does it tell you about us?
Melon head and peanut head. We still think the same.
Heard that. Oh, football jig all day, every day, twice on Sundays.
100 with humidity in summer, 40 wind chill. Oh. Not sure what that's about. Bass, favorite offshore bait? What did you say? Football jig?
Football jig all day, twice on Sundays.
Big jig?
Big jig.
Big jig.
I like the big jig.
Favorite offshore bait? Confidence-wise, the bait that I think I get the most bites on year in, year out throughout the summer will be a Carolina rig. Summer offshore bite for a guide, and I think it's the best bait for people in general from a guide's perspective. From different people getting in my boat, beginner to experienced, it catches the most fish, and dude, it catches some giants. Carolina rig will catch the biggest bass that's ever come into my boat. Was caught by a guy who had never caught anything bigger than a 2-pounder out of a pond, and it was a 12-pound, 13-ounce fish that he caught on a Carolina rig. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, guys that have a super amount of experience tend to catch more fish than anything else offshore year in, year out with a Carolina rig. Yeah. We'll get on runs like we've been here lately where more fish are getting caught on the big worm on the shaky head. We'll get on runs where the jig catches more. We'll get on runs where the old swing head, biffle head catches more. Mm-hmm. But year in, year out, consistently throughout the summer, a Carolina rig catches more fish than anything else offshore.
That's fair. That's it.
Have you guys heard about E15 gas that the wax dummy is forcing on us? Coast Guard says do not put in your outboard. Yeah, I bet they say. So he's going to put 15% ethanol gas. Oh, my God, dude.
You talk about some gummy lines.
I can't even do liberal tears anymore because it's not funny. Like, what's happening is just not even funny.
Yeah.
Like, it used to be. It was bad. Like, it was bad. Like, there was a lot of bad stuff happening, and I think a lot of liberal policies are really, really bad for this country as a whole. Like, I don't think that people that lean and vote liberal are bad people necessarily. That's not what I'm saying. And I think sometimes it gets mistaken as that. But I do think that a lot of liberal policies are horrible for this country. I think they're horrible for us as individuals. They're horrible for us as a country as a whole. And we could have that argument with somebody that was of the opposite thinking all day long. We all know we could. And, you're probably not going to change each other's minds. But at this point, this leadership that we have in this country, I can't even joke about it anymore. No. It's such a disaster. It is such a disaster. It's a damn shame. It's a damn shame.
Don't sell them short. Right. Right. A big perm, that's also another favorite of mine. That's been
a deal for me this year so far.
I think
it's starting to fade a little bit on me though. It's like I think everybody started throwing it out, and it's kind of the jib's getting a few more bites. Carolina rig.
Dude, I like throwing that big perm like when fish just start showing up offshore. When you got 4 or 5 out there that you graph, I like throwing that big perm at them from the get go because just for me, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the confidence I have in it. I tend to catch bigger fish early on with it, and then I transition to that football jig.
Definitely tell you there's times when that bigger plastic worm will catch, and a jig will do the same thing.
Right.
Big jig will do the same thing.
No doubt.
Catch a bigger fish than the Carolina rig will, on average.
Right.
We definitely went through a stretch of that this year where all we were throwing was that big perm worm, that big straight tail shaky head worm on a big shaky head. We were throwing that in a Carolina rig with a big impact shad even on the Carolina rig. And it was every single day. If you threw the Carolina rig, you'd get bit, but it'd be smaller. Mm-hmm. If you threw the big worm, you'd get bit, but it'd be bigger. It was every day there for a while that was happening. Now, not so much. We're catching the big ones on Carolina rigs too now.
I think there's something too, and I've never really necessarily figured this out, but there seems to be something too when it starts getting real hot and the fish start getting extra pressure. There seems to be something to that no movement almost Carolina rig deal.
I think it's a Lake Fork thing too. Pressured fish. I think the longer that you can keep a bait in a fish's face, the better at times on pressured lakes like Fork. And I think that's why that big shaky head worm works so well because it with no salt in that one that I use, it just stand there and wait. You just kind of wiggle in the current, wiggle in the wind current. It will. On a Carolina rig, the same thing. You can get some of the same results, especially if you use it. This is a Mark Pack tip. Mark Pack was probably the best big bass Carolina rig fisherman maybe ever. He might have caught more big fish, like double-digit fish, 7-pound plus fish, on a Carolina rig than anybody in the history of the sport. I think he probably did. I think he really probably did. When you add up the number of years that he was on a lake like Fork and his affinity for throwing a Carolina rig, how often he threw it, and how good he was at it, how many tricks he knew. And one of the main things that he talked to me about as far as how your setup goes, like the most important thing, number one was have a heavy weight at all times, but really the most important thing, a light wire hook, as light a wire hook as you can get away with on the plastic you're using, it will give that bait so much more mobility and flotation and buoyancy behind it and give it a better, slower action behind it. Pack was a genius with the Carolina rig.
Oh, he's good.
He would snap it like a jerkbait. You know, nobody else did that back then. You know, nobody. Who fished Carolina rig like jerkbait? Who took a Carolina rig, got on the bottom, went like a jerkbait? You know what I mean? Like jerk, jerk. Like nobody did that. Pack did that. And he would throw those jerk shads, those flukes and stuff on there and do that and catch fish nobody else would catch.
Watusi's.
Watusi's.
Never trim the weed guard on your football jig this time of year.
Whoa. Do you trim your weed guards back on your football jig? Hold on. We might disagree on this.
No.
We might disagree on this. So you're saying don't trim the weed guard.
I'm saying never trim the weed guard because chances are, if I have to trim the weed guard, I'm losing that jig. I'm always leaving it full. Because let me back up. I have a hard enough hook set to where I'm not worried about that getting in my way.
Princess Laney, will you grab me the kitchen scissors, please? We're going to put this to the test right now, dog.
Come on.
We finna put, you finna see some redneck science in action, folks at home. Redneck science 2.0 tonight.
Come on. Never have I ever.
Never have I ever. It's a whole different kind of game, dog. All right, 1 minute, folks. We got to do a study here.
This is about
I've got a fresh out the box 3/4 ounce jig right here.
Here we go.
All right, now this jig comes with a weed guard. Really not. I mean, I like to trim mine to the barb.
Okay.
Right.
So you're talking about an eighth of an inch.
This one's like an eighth of an inch past. It ain't much. Okay. But what I want you to do right now, I'm gonna hold this jig nice and tight, and I want you to push down on that weed guard right now. Okay. Feel the resistance of it.
Okay.
You feel it?
Yeah.
Okay. Dude, these scissors aren't made for this.
We make them work. We adapt and overcome.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. All right, so I've trimmed it down to right at the barb. See it?
Yeah.
Right at the barb. Now, all right, same pressure, touch it the same way. Tell me which one has more resistance.
I honestly couldn't tell.
I can tell you, and you folks will see if you play this back. When he pushed it the first time, the weed guard went down to here. When he pushed it this time, it went down to the hook.
Okay.
When it's shorter, it's stiffer, has more resistance, and actually makes it more weedless when your weed guard is shorter. Now, to a point, if you trim it too much and expose the hook point or the barb, then you're too short. But you want to get it down to right at that barb and maybe even a little bit behind that barb where you're still covering your point by 1/2 inch. And that will actually give you a stiffer weed guard, making it more weedless. Redneck Science 2.0 for black folks.
I've never trimmed the weed guard.
Do you think you should trim your weed guard?
I mean,
are you sold or no?
I mean, I've never done it, and I've never had an issue.
I'm telling you, if you trim your weed guard, it is more snag free.
I'll try it.
Yes, folks, to answer the question from my point of view, I always trim the weed guard just like I just showed y'all. Right to the back of the barb is where I like it. Right there, as you can see. Let me get it where you can see the barb. See the barb? Right on the back of the barb. Right there is where I like to trim it.
Man, that is some high definition. We're coming up on this deal.
Fancy boy.
I also never trim my skirts, ever.
In the summer. In the summer, no. No, I don't trim the skirt, and I put a full crawl on in the summer. I want a big profile in the summer.
Yes, 100%.
Mike Brave, my buddy that's here, he's a big jig fisherman. He about come off that couch when you said never trim the weed guard. I seen you, Mike. He got plumb upset with you.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Melvin Perkins says, saw a show when you guys caught 36 pounds with 5 fish quick. Yeah, I mean, it happens around here sometimes. We've been fortunate to catch some really big ones on camera. Sometimes we catch almost nothing on camera. Sometimes we catch little ones on camera. We get it all around here. But yes, we do have big fish around here, and at times it happens fast.
Yeah, that day on Monticello was kind of fun.
We took it way back there.
That's what he's talking about.
Do you guys use crank down swim baits down there around this time? I've been getting some decent feedback recently using them and a couple good fish. Crank down swim baits? We use swim baits on a big jig head to get them deep. Like we'll throw a swim bait on a 3/4 1 ounce jig head, let it get to the bottom, and then slow roll it right above the bottom. If that's what you're talking about, yes, we use that all the time. It's fun. It's great when they're on it, and then when they're not on it, you throw it all day for nothing.
Right. That's interesting.
That's it, Monticello. That's what he's talking about. That was the original launch. That was before.
That was before it was
the
available.
big perm worm that we've been talking about tonight. That was right before it went public. When we filmed it, it wasn't for sale yet. And then the day that we aired that video was the day it went up for sale. That was the launch video for that big straight tail worm.
And we cracked them.
We were the first ones ever in the history of bass fishing to catch 100 pounds and document it on camera in one day.
That's right.
And we did it in 5 hours.
Yep.
And we didn't even know we did it till I got editing the video and started counting up all the weights, because we were thinking best 5, 36 pounds or 37 pounds, whatever it ended up being. And so we literally caught so many fish. We caught like 25 fish, which you only need about 10 or 12 to make a really good fishing video.
Right.
We caught like 25 bass a day. I remember it was 25 bass for 104 pounds is what it was. So it's just over a 4-pound average. We caught 25 bass. We had 30-something pounds. We were like, dude, there's no reason for us to keep fishing. Like, this video is not getting any better. At this point, our biggest fish is like 8 pounds, and we got 36 or 37 pounds. Like, we're trying to cull a 6-pounder.
Yeah.
And every fish we're catching is the same size. You know, we just kind of decided to call it quits early because of that. Looking back on it, I wish we'd have kept going to see how high our weight would have been.
Yeah. Because we left them biting.
I'll say this about your Lake Fork guide. So, and to be fair, that was before they really started doing the Every Fish Counts MLS, Bass Pro Tour, where we've seen these guys rack up, especially on smallmouth, rack up hundreds of pounds. But still, I don't think they've had anybody do 100 pounds of largemouth on the Bass Pro Tour, have they? Yes, they have. When Wheeler caught a whole bunch of small ones at Ozarks or something.
Yeah.
It was mostly largemouth, probably some spotted bass.
Yeah.
Or maybe on the North Carolina deal, he may have gone up. So they've done it. They've beat it now. But we were the first ones to go over 100 pounds, documented on camera. And now, just this last year in the fall, myself and Heath Taylor again, who was with us that day, myself and Heath Taylor, we were the first ones to document on video over 200 pounds of largemouth, because they've done that on smallmouth, but over 200 pounds. So 100 pounds of largemouth, first ones, 200 pounds of largemouth, the first ones to ever document both of those on camera. So we're a small channel. We're a little peon. We're nothing in the grand scheme of things at your Lake Fork guide, that's for sure. We're not getting a big head about anything. But I'm really proud of the fact that no matter what, we were the first ones to document the 100-pound mark and the 200-pound mark on largemouth on camera ever. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we smacked them. That was fun.
Okay, so South Jersey guys, about crank down swim baits is talking about jointed hard bait like the K9 or tiny class. Now, you're talking about like a lipped jointed swim bait. This time of year, no, we don't throw them.
Like a brokeback minnow?
And down here, these fish are too deep. They're too deep for that. Now, when we do throw that is when the gizzard shad are running up on shallow points. We throw bull shads, king shad from Strike King, that old king shad. That was like the OG crank down swim bait back in the day. Yes, those are very effective when our gizzard shad get shallow on points. Not this time of year down here. It's just too hot. What are some hot weather, fast, warm trim baits that you use? See, this is another one of those questions where it depends on the lake, depends on the bait, depends on the conditions. It's a multi-faceted question. It's just got, in fishing, there's no absolutes. There's always multiple answers and multiple angles to it. Fast warming trend. I know John's in Nebraska. I think that was John, wasn't it? Eagles 20 John, yeah. Yeah, so he's in Nebraska, so he's getting a big warming trend right now, and he's had some fish spawning up there from what he's telling me. So he's going to go from spawn, and then some fish are going to rapidly go into post-spawn with that. The main thing isn't what bait you throw, it's the speed at which you throw it. When fish get done spawning and the water's heating up quick, their metabolism's heating up quick, they're hungry from spawning, they don't eat while they spawn, so they get really hungry. Don't slow down. Fish fast. Throw an old rivet style frog top and just buzz it, dude. Fish a buzz bait fast. Throw a little swim bait and fish it fast. Just pick up the pace at which you fish is my number one tip. I did a video years ago on that, and that video really got a lot of views for us back then. But I mean, like 4 or 5 years ago, my first year doing videos, I think I did that video about how and this was in May for us, but when the fish are wrapping up spawning and then they start eating and chasing bait in shallow water again, you have to fish extremely fast. Just don't slow down. That's the number one tip I can give you.
Burn that daggone.
There's no reason. Those fish are flying all over that flat, chasing bait and trying to eat it. There is no reason to slow down. They are moving fast. When they move fast, you move fast.
If you don't, to put that in perspective, when the bluegill are spawning, just power pole down and pay attention to how fast some of them bass get in the bluegill bed and off of it.
Oh, they're moving, dude.
Yes.
And I promise you, when a bass wants to eat your bait,
You can't reel it fast
You
enough.
can't take it away from him. If he wants it, he'll outrun your reel handle.
100%.
For sure. Even on a 7 or 8 to 1, he'll outrun your reel handle if he wants it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, how many times have you been burning a bait in to make a cast and a bass just comes up and...
Dude, this isn't like our normal podcast where we sit and talk about tournament fishing. This has turned into a straight up fishing question, good information. I kind of dig it, though.
Yeah, I'm with it.
Kind of dig it.
Dude,
It's been some good questions tonight. We appreciate that.
I'll tell you, that's you burn that swim jig directly, immediate post spawn. You start burning that swim jig around because you can deflect it off
That's
stuff.
a good one. That's a good one.
That's my go-to.
That's a good one. Melvin Perkins said, do you guys watch the Fish the Moment shows? I'll be honest with you, man, especially this time of year, I'm guiding so much and then making content too. And old Princess Laney stepped in and started helping me make content, which is taking a lot off my plate. But I don't have time to watch much of anything right now. Like, I don't see any YouTube videos. I know you're talking about, I think his name's Johnny Schultz, maybe? I think is his name. He's a kid from up in the Midwest somewhere, young guy, but really good. And I actually used to watch him a long time ago when I had a little more time on my hands. When he first started, I kind of watched him a little bit. I knew as soon as he started making videos, I knew, and I even messaged him one time and told him, I was like, dude, you're going to, like, this is going to be your deal. Like, this is how you're going to make a living. Like, you're very good at this. He makes very good content. I'm sure he still does. I haven't seen one of his videos in a long time. But so, no, I don't watch it. But no knock on him. That's just because I don't watch anything. Like, if there's a tournament going on, I'll turn on live coverage a lot of times when I'm out on the boat fishing, you know. And that's I don't really watch much of nothing else, honestly. I've been trying to watch hockey playoffs because I love hockey. Little known fact, I love hockey. I've been trying to watch hockey playoffs, and I keep getting behind. like I'll sit here one night, like if I'm not going out the next morning, I may stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning trying to catch up on all the playoff games and just watch the highlights of them or whatever, you know. And then I'll go a week without watching one. And then look at the stare down I'm getting from she gets mad when I stay up watching hockey. See that? so I'll go like 3 or 4 days or a week without watching any, and then I'll stay up one night trying to watch all the hockey games. So that's about the only other thing I'm watching right now. Gary West called it the Lake Fort Juice Podcast. Here's our South Jersey guy asking about the crankdown swim baits. He says, so you might want to check out the Buka dredger. It can get down to about 20 feet. It is a great bait. And he also allows you to tune it so you could get it deeper. Oh, if you made it slow, say, hey, Buka dredger. Put that in notes right now. We're going to need to find out about this because I'm always looking for different baits to present to these pressure bass on Lake Fork. Thank you very much, South Jersey. Appreciate that. How about Salzman last week? Yeah, we talked about him a lot tonight earlier in the podcast. If you just joined us, I know we've got a lot of new viewers later on in the podcast tonight, but go back in the beginning and we went over that dude. He's a great guy. I'm a big Ryan Salzman fan, and I really think he is definitely here to stay. He's a name you're going to want to pay attention to going forward. He's just shown some success in very different conditions. He's done a very good job this year. Kevin Wallace asks, can we get a One Tribe Foundation shirt at the Forever Grateful tournament? Absolutely. We'll have shirts there, yes. What bait was the big fish caught on?
I think he's talking about Hunter's tournament.
Oh, I don't know. I do not know that. I have not heard that. Who's my team in hockey? Well, the Dallas Stars are my team. But, I mean, I'll just like hockey. Like, I'll watch all of them. Colorado's been my favorite team to watch in the playoffs because they just play at a different speed and intensity than everybody else, it feels like. And I think they're probably going to – I know Tampa Bay's won 2 in a row, and now they're in the finals. But I think Colorado is going to win. So I think they're going to knock off Tampa Bay, who's won 2 in a row. They might win 3 in a row, dude. That's a big deal in any sport, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's dynasty stuff with old Steven Stamkos down there. But I think Colorado's going to get them, dude.
Does Tom Brady play hockey?
Avs and Lightning for the Cup starts Wednesday. That's right. So we got a few hockey fans apparently in the chat paying attention. Somebody even commented about Colorado, said Avalanche just going to smoke everyone, not missing much. Dude, they're playing a different level of hockey. To me, like, and I know you don't like hockey, so I'm talking to myself right now, right? I'm talking to the people in the chat that are into hockey, but
yeah.
Dude, Colorado plays hockey, and I think I said it perfectly the first time. They play it at a different speed and intensity than everybody else at the professional level. Even as great as everybody is at the professional level, they just come out of there and look faster and meaner.
They're the Jacob Wheeler of hockey.
They just get it, dude. Like, they are flat.
enough.
And Nathan McKinnon might be the fastest guy to ever wear pads and skates. Like, that cat gets going from the back line and flies through everybody. He's just
He
unbelievable.
looked like me running to the buffet line.
I probably would give me that vote because, I mean, I don't know. Me and you in a buffet line, I don't know, folks. Y'all comment. Who's going to win in a buffet? A buffet competition. Melon head or peanut head?
I ate a lot.
You do eat a lot for how skinny you are. I'll
Yeah.
give you that.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
I ate a lot.
If you'd have seen me, listen, we stopped for lunch. We fished 2 lakes today, and we stopped for lunch at a Mexican food place. If you'd have seen how much food we put away at that Mexican food place, you might pick her in the buffet line.
She got it.
She got after it today. She's laughing. Hey, she put away some groceries today.
Heard that.
We got a melon head for the win in the comments. There you go.
Melon head for the win.
I think that's a great way to wrap this one up.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's phenomenal, man. It's been a great podcast. We're going to go ahead and get going, man. Thank you guys so much for joining us as always. It's been really cool, the Q&A that we did tonight.
Yeah.
It's different than most of our podcasts, but I really enjoyed it. We may have to fire up some more of these Ask Us Anything segments in the future. You guys did a great job. Really, y'all made the show with your questions, made the show good. So
It's got me pumped, dude. It's got me jacked up to go order $23 worth of Taco Bell and go home and just crush it.
is that what we're going to do?
I mean, I've been known.
I don't know after lunch.
Bro,
I'm starting to loosen up. We might be able to go another round.
Bro, let me tell you something. So the Taco Bell by my house, they run out of materials for the Mexican pizza already.
I'm not a big Taco Bell guy, so I'm really kind of.
Bro, the Mexican pizza is a
I
godsend.
think they're done with it.
No, they're not done with it. Yeah, it's here to stay.
They just ran out of materials. Don't run his
They
night.
just ran out of materials.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you guys as always for watching. Chris, do that thing you do.
Melon head for the win.
You can go your own way, folks.
That's right. That's right.